The illusion of control. You believe you are in control of your mind, not just a little, completely. You believe your thoughts come from you, your decisions come from you, your actions are chosen by you. It feels obvious. It feels natural. It feels like something so basic. You never even question it, but stop. Just for a moment. Look closer. Did you choose your last thought? Not influence it, not react to it. Choose it. Did you sit there and decide exactly what you would think next? Or did it just appear? Because if you are honest, it appeared. Out of nowhere. Without permission. Without warning. A thought shows up. Then another. Then another. Endlessly. And you don't control what comes next. You only notice what already appeared, which means something uncomfortable. You are not creating thoughts. You are receiving them. And if you are receiving them, then you are already reacting. And if you are reacting, you're already late. Always late. One step behind. And that's the illusion. Because your mind tells you, I thought this. I decided this. I chose this. But those statements come after. After the thought, after the impulse, after the reaction, never before. And by the time you claim ownership, it's already done. And that is why control feels real, but isn't. The speed. You can't catch your mind moves faster than you, not slightly faster, infinitely faster. Before you notice a thought, it has already formed. Before you recognize an emotion, it has already begun. Before you attempt to control a reaction, it is already happening. Everything happens first. Awareness comes after, always after, which means you are not leading the process. You are following it, trying to catch up to something that already started. And no matter how fast you try to be, you are always behind. Because the system that generates thought operates below your awareness, outside your control. And that's why control feels impossible. Because you are trying to control something that already happened. You are trying to stop something after it has already started. And that's why you fail. Not because you are weak, not because you lack discipline, but because you misunderstand the system. You think control means stopping thoughts, but thoughts don't wait for your permission. They don't ask, they don't pause, they happen automatically, relentlessly, and you only notice them after they arrive. The automatic system. Most of your mind is not conscious, it is automatic. It runs in the background, constantly, without effort, without awareness, habits, reactions, emotional patterns, thought loops, all of it. Operating without your control. You don't choose your habits in the moment. They activate. You don't choose your reactions in real time. They trigger. You don't choose your emotional patterns consciously. They emerge because they were trained, repeated, reinforced, over time. And now, they run automatically, like a system, like a program, like something executing, without needing you. And you are only seeing the result, not the process. Which means something critical. You are not controlling your mind. You are observing what it already did. The real reason. You can't control it. You can't control your mind because you think you are your mind. This is the core problem, the deepest layer. You don't see thoughts as separate. You identify with them instantly. A thought appears, and you become it. An emotion rises, and you are inside it. A reaction starts, and you follow it, without distance, without awareness, without pause. And once you become the thought, there is no control, because there is no separation. Control requires distance. Observation requires distance, but identification removes distance completely, and that's why it feels impossible. Because you are trying to control something you are fully merged with, you are inside it, and you cannot control something while you are lost inside it. The separation control does not begin with force. It does not begin with discipline. It does not begin with trying harder. It begins with something much more subtle, something almost invisible. Separation. But not the kind of separation you think, not physical, not emotional, mental, perceptual. A separation between you and what is happening inside your mind, because right now, there is no separation. A thought appears, and you instantly become it, without noticing, without questioning, without pausing. It feels immediate, it feels natural. It feels like that thought is you, but it's not. It's something appearing inside you. And there is a difference you've never fully seen until now. Because what you call your thoughts are events, occurrences, processes. They arise, they exist, and then they pass. But you don't see them that way. You don't observe them as events. You identify with them, instantly. A thought says something, and you believe it. A thought judges something, and you agree with it. A thought creates fear, and you feel that fear as reality, without distance, without space, without awareness. And that is where control is lost. Not because the thought exists, but because you become it, completely, automatically, without resistance, without observation. And the moment you become the thought, there is no longer a you observing. There is only the thought itself, playing out, and you are inside it, living through it, experiencing it as reality. And that is why it feels uncontrollable, because you are not controlling the thought. You are being carried by it, pulled by it, moved by it, like a current you never chose. But something changes the moment you see it, truly see it. A thought appears, and instead of becoming it, you notice it, just slightly, just enough, to create a gap, a tiny gap, barely noticeable at first, but real. And inside that gap, there is something new. Distance. You are here. The thought is there, separate, not merged, not fused, not identical, and that changes everything. Because for the first time, you are not inside the thought. You are aware of it, and awareness breaks identification. It interrupts the automatic process. It slows it down, it exposes it, and once something is exposed, it cannot control you the same way. Not completely, not instantly, because now you see it happening. You see how the thought tries to pull you in. You see how it tries to become you. You see how it repeats, how it loops, how it builds on itself. And instead of being inside it, you are watching it, and that watching is the beginning of real control. Not control over the thought, but control over your relationship to it. You are no longer fused, no longer identical, no longer trapped. You are separate, and the more you practice that separation, the more stable it becomes, the more natural it becomes, the more consistent it becomes, until one day, it is no longer something you try to do, it becomes your default. Thoughts still appear, but you don't instantly become them. Emotions still arise, but you don't instantly react. Patterns still repeat, but you don't automatically follow. And that is when something shifts permanently. You are no longer lost in the mind, you are aware of the mind, and that awareness creates space. And in that space, control becomes possible for the first time. What control really is. Everything you believed about control, Farah, was wrong. You thought control meant stopping thoughts, silencing the mind, eliminating noise, forcing stillness. You thought control meant dominance, power, authority over what happens inside you. But that's not control, that's resistance. And resistance is still reaction. It is still part of the system. Because when you resist a thought, you are still engaged with it. You are still inside it, just on the opposite side, fighting it, pushing against it, trying to suppress it. And the more you fight it, the stronger it becomes, because attention feeds it. Even resistance is attention. Even rejection is engagement. And engagement keeps the system alive. So control cannot come from fighting. It cannot come from force. It cannot come from trying to dominate the mind. Because the mind does not respond to force. It generates, it produces, it continues, regardless of what you want. So real controls is not about stopping the mind. It is about no longer being controlled by it. And that happens through something completely different. Awareness, pure awareness. A thought appears, and you see it, clearly, fully, without distortion, without identification, without becoming it. You don't suppress it. You don't follow it. You don't fight it. You let it exist, and you observe it. And in that observation, something profound happens. The thought loses its power, not because it disappeared, but because you are no longer inside it. You are outside, watching, present, stable. And from that position, you are no longer controlled, because control requires identification. Control requires you to become the thought, to merge with it, to act through it. But you are no longer doing that. You are aware. And awareness breaks control, completely, not instantly, but fundamentally. Because now, you see everything. You see how thoughts appear. You see how emotions rise. You see how patterns repeat. And you no longer get lost in them the same way. They still exist, they still move, they still try to pull you in. But something is different. You are not fully inside anymore. There is distance. And in that distance there is freedom. Not perfect freedom, not permanent stillness, but awareness. And awareness is enough. Because awareness gives you something you never had before. Choice. Not the choice of what thought appears, but the choice of whether you become it. And that changes everything. Because now, you are no longer a passive process. You are no longer just reacting. You are seeing. You are choosing your response. You are present. And that presence is real control. Not control over the mind, but freedom from being controlled by it. And once you experience that, even for a moment, you realize something that cannot be undone. You were never in control before. You were inside the system, but now you are aware of it. And awareness is the beginning of everything.